Oh, what's good, everybody? Welcome into the Coach and Bro Show. I, of course, am the coach. For those of you new to our little show here, I spent over 12 years inside the WWE. Normally, my co-host, Vince Russo, the greatest wrestling writer of all time, is here, but he is traveling today. As always, we are brought to you by DimerBox at DimerBox.com and also Shop Mando at ShopMando.com as well. Now, this is not your normal wrestling show where we break down Raw and SmackDown segment by segment by segment. Anybody can do that. No, my idea, my dream at BTT Studios, we have 3 different shows, is to bring in some of the edgiest, opinionated, and also really smart voices in whatever our content is. And this is pro wrestling, and I've been wanting to work with this guy for a really, really long time. And today, damn it, we got him. Producer man, bring in my co-host for the day, JD from New York. You hear him everywhere. There he is right there. And JD, first and foremost, all sincerity, been wanting to do this for a while. I DM'd you a few months ago. We're making it happen today. Thank you very much. Welcome to the BTT universe.
Coach, thank you for having me. This is something that I've wanted to do as well for a long time. I'm not Vince Russo. I am a bro, though. But listen, we'll have a good time today, man.
100%. I know a lot of your audience is coming over right now. I see them in the chat. If you guys want to be a part of the conversation and have your thoughts or opinions, you can do that via super chat as well here on the show. Now, real quick before we get started, because I know you do stuff every single night, tell our audience where they can find all your stuff.
Well, you can mainly find me on YouTube. That's my number one platform. I am just now getting into the game of multicasting to other platforms like TikTok and X, Twitch, but YouTube is mainly where you can find me because not only do I live stream, I also upload short form content and I break the news as it happens along with everybody else to give my thoughts and opinions. So you guys can find me at JDfromNY 206 on Twitter. Podcast is called Off the Script. I cover WWE, AEW with my guy Jesse on Wednesday nights, and we have a absolutely unbelievable show that is blown up beyond anything I could ever imagine on Tuesday night. It's called Tuesday Night Titans with the one and only Jason Solomon, the Solid Monster. We are 84 episodes in, and it's a fucking great time.
Boom, boom, boom. That's how you sell your shit right there. Thank you very much. All right, let's get into it. We got a lot of topics to talk about today. And I want to start with a man, and there he is, Beyond the Script right away. Thank you, Beyond the Script. Still waiting. Love y'all. Thank you very much. First super sticker of the show. So Michael Cole, JD, I rode with him when I started. I was early 20s, 1999, and kind of how they do it in the WWE is they give you a mentor. So Michael Cole was my mentor. For 2 or 3 years, we rode together. Nothing but respect for him. 28 years now inside the company. But he went on the Logan Paul and Paulson podcast, and he hit on a couple of topics that, quite frankly, I was a little bit surprised that he would talk about. And the first one and foremost, when we talk about Vince McMahon here, a lot of places don't, but we do. I worked with him. I was next to him for 3 years. Everybody knows that. But JD, Michael said that would never disparage Vince McMahon's name because he would not even be where he is without Vince McMahon. I'm kind of in the same boat because Vince hired me on the spot. I was there for 10 years. They went back for another couple. So I'm very conflicted when it comes to Vince McMahon. We've seen him now make more public appearances, the Super Bowl and whatnot. Where are you at right now with the fact that the federal government dropped their stuff? As soon as he gets done with Janelle, I think he's going to try and get back in the game. But for a guy like Michael Cole to openly say, hey, I'll never say anything back, I think is a really big deal. What's your take?
See, the thing with Vince McMahon is I've spoken about it a lot on my platform as well. As far as a personal, I don't know Vince, and all we know is what we know in the news. As far as Vince, what he's created, he's the reason why we're all here. So as far as a professional level, everything that we see today and everything that we will see until the day we all die is created because of Vince McMahon. Triple H is doing a fantastic job at righting all the wrongs that Vince had created for the company and for himself creatively on television. Michael Cole's comments, I'm not surprised because we've seen comments made by John Cena and several others that still work there as far as Vince and what he's done for the business. As far as personal, I think a lot of people tend to stay away from that, especially when they're employed there. And I could see where Michael Cole is coming from. Vince gave him a start. Vince gave him a job. He's been there for almost 30 years. He's the voice of WWE. You know, Michael Cole is going to be there for another 8 years, reportedly. So He doesn't want to ruffle any feathers with the company, doesn't want to ruffle any feathers with Vince as long as he's employed there. I mean, it's a stance that a lot of people have taken in his position, and I'm not surprised that he did.
I'm not either. And he's always been a loyal guy. But I got to tell you, JD, behind the scenes over the years, I wish that we could talk about all the times that Michael Cole would absolutely rage. When I walked in the door, they handed me 8 to 10 shows because back then we had shows like Live Wire and Jacked and Metal and all these. And he was so burnt out. And this was 1999. Can you imagine living a life where, and I've heard he's missed a couple of shows, but I would say it's less than 5 in 28 years. And when I got married, I went to Raw 3 days after I got married so I could then go on a 10-day honeymoon. It's a crazy lifestyle. But when you become the voice now, and we saw JR the other day on his podcast saying sometimes you got to eat shit in order to get that big paycheck. And I think that sometimes that's where Michael Cole comes from. But I can't hate on that because if I'm telling you, JD, I'm going to pay you between $500,000 and $1 million, and that's where he is right now, and stock, then you're going to be a company guy. I've never understood fans that go, oh, he's just a company guy. We all would be company guys, wouldn't we?
In that case, yes, and I do believe being there as long as he does have that extra pull. He's got the respect, he's got the knowledge to teach everybody else coming in underneath him. You know, people like Corey Graves and Joe Tessitore, who's done a great job on Friday Night SmackDown with Wade Barrett. You know, a lot of that comes with I don't want to put words in his mouth, but he's a powerful entity there. And, you know, someone in the commentary game, I've been doing commentary for House of Glory, Amazing Red, Brian XL. I owe them a lot. They put up a lot of my shit, and they given me an opportunity to call matches for them here in New York City. Love every bit of it. I've been doing it for 6.5 years, going on 7 years now. You know, a lot of those positions, you look at people in those positions, they don't go away, and they keep those positions until they can't physically do it anymore. Michael Cole, I genuinely believe Michael Cole is one of the hardest working men that I've ever seen watching pro wrestling. And to be in that position, to do that for as long as he has, not only has he earned the respect, it's tough to give up. I mean, it's a fun fucking job. Who wouldn't want to be calling pro wrestling and telling stories?
Thank you.
It's a great fucking job.
Thank you. And it's funny because when I think back, whenever I think about Michael, and I think I called 4 or 5 WrestleManias in different ways as a character and then as an announcer. And everybody thinks it's easy to get there. Oh, anybody can get, and it's really, really not. And to be able to call it the way that Vince wanted you to call it in a storyline way. And I saw him part of the interview. He's like, I'm not calling moves anymore. And the hardcore wrestling fans, the marks that I call them, they're so worried about, well, you didn't call the hip toss right. You didn't call the back. I once got just literally raked over the coals for saying that Ronda Rousey was in a bear hug and she was using it to just rest of moves in a row. And they're like, oh, coach, that's not what a bear hug is. They're sucking the life out of her. So Michael's done a good job of turning it from wrestling into sports entertainment. But I'm glad that you brought up, you're watching the Coach and Bro Show, JD, in today for Vince. I'm glad you brought up Corey Graves. We've talked a lot about him here on the show. Back in 2018, when I went back for my cup of coffee, we tried to do a 3-man booth. It simply did not work. He didn't want me there. I don't like 3-man booths. They're very difficult. It is what it is. But Michael Cole addressed this situation when it comes to Corey Graves and all of that on the show. Do you agree that it was Corey trying to do a storyline and then it kind of backfired on him? Or do you think this is one really big, elaborate work and eventually Corey's going to shock all of us and he's been physically cleared to get back into the ring?
I heard that he's physically able to get back into the ring. I don't know if he wants to, but from the first time I heard this story and I seen Graves' tweet go out, which is now gone, he deleted it. I know that he was frustrated because just from an outsider's perspective looking in, WWE brings in Pat McAfee. He goes away to do college football. He comes back during Monday Night Raw and the debut on Netflix during WWE's biggest season of the entire year. And Corey Graves felt like he was being replaced. I probably would have taken the same steps as Corey Graves because I wear my heart on my sleeve. Yes, Corey, listen, man, I'm very vocal. When I don't like something, I let it fester and I just kind of let it all out at the same time. Corey is upset because The body of work that Corey Graves has done, whether you like or anybody likes Corey Graves or not, Corey Graves is fucking great at his job.
He is. I'll give that.
Corey Graves is one of those guys that mixes the storytelling aspect with the pro wrestling aspect, and it comes together beautifully. He's been there for so long and has honed his craft and has done literally everything the company has wanted from him. He even was put into a play-by-play role while they tried to find somebody to fill that spot on Friday Night SmackDown, and he did a very good job at it. So for him to be removed from WrestleMania season for Pat McAfee during their biggest time of the year, I don't blame him that he's upset. Now, did he overreact? Yes, because Pat McAfee is going to eventually go away when college football starts. And who do you think they're going to call upon to go fill in on Monday night? It would be Corey Graves. So if you look at it in the grand scheme of things, do you do what you do on social media and then they ice you for as long as they want? Or do you play the company game, sit out 5 months, and then come back and work the other 6 months, 7 months of the year? I mean, it's a tough situation, but he blew up, and I feel where he's coming from.
I feel where he's coming from too. And I know this though, JD, that when I was there on a million different occasions, on a dime, they could change what they want you to do and what you're called to do. I got taken off SmackDown once and put on Raw, then taken off Raw and made a character. Where Corey Graves made his mistake was not deleting it before he hit send. Because part of the reason Pat McAfee gets what he gets is that he has a gigantic following. He has an ESPN show, and he has created this world where he can bring wrestlers and stuff on his show, and it doesn't affect the sports side of it. So they're able to elevate outside of the wrestling bubble or the wrestling universe. Here is the sound of Michael Cole on the Impulsive podcast talking about that Corey Graves situation.
What are they doing to my guy Corey Graves?
That's a strange situation. I love Corey.
Me too.
Love him to death. I still don't understand all the dynamics of it. I know that he sent something out on social media that was pretty critical of the company. He tried to explain to everyone that he was trying to generate some interest in maybe a type of a storyline. I don't think the company saw. I don't think the company saw it that way.
It was not a work,
right? And
it was a shoot.
Yes,
allegedly.
But so, and again, I think him and the company are working that out. I love Corey to death. He's an unbelievable commentator. Beside McAfee, he's probably best partner I've ever had.
Dude, you guys are like such a good duo to me, and I personally love Corey as well.
Yep.
He's a great person, but I also think his work is fantastic.
Yeah.
I seriously have like a very special spot in my heart for commentators.
All right, so Michael Cole being very, very clear about what's going on. So JD, let me ask you this, because this is what I would tell Corey if he asked my opinion, because I probably have more experience with this than anybody in the history of the business. If I said to you, JD, I'm going to pay you $400,000, and there's one other place in the world where you can go and make close to that kind of money. And it's not like he's an accountant and can go down the street. It's not like he's playing the NFL and go to 31 other teams. This is a very unique situation. And I would never want anybody to blow it up over their feelings on social media. Wouldn't that be enough, knowing that AEW is the only place you could go and remotely get close to the kind of money that he's probably making after a decade at WWE?
That would be the only place. Nobody knows Corey Graves outside of the pro wrestling bubble. So he's basically pigeonholed himself. This is what he knows. This is what he does. This is where people know him and where he's going to make his most money. He can't go to AEW because they have like 1,000 commentators over there. So where would he even fit? So, exactly. I mean, Corey Graves, he's working NXT. He gets to be, it's not that bad of a deal the way we see it from the outside looking in. He's on NXT. They got a great roster of talent down there. He gets to be amongst all the young people that you're eventually going to see on Raw and SmackDown. The Performance Center, I heard, is an unbelievable experience. It's in Orlando. What is there not to like? So, I mean, I understand that he's a very vocal individual. He let the company know how he's feeling. They took it the wrong way. At the end of the day, I think they will both come back together because I think WWE finds Corey to be a valuable asset, and Corey Graves loves the company.
There's no question about that. Real quick, another super sticker. I got to get back to work. I don't read bad words out of super stickers, so Beyond the Script, thank you very much. We appreciate your support. Come back anytime. But I'm sure on Wednesday nights that JD appreciates that. They decided on SmackDown not to have Corey Graves fill in, but instead they had Vic Joseph. Did that speak volumes to you?
Yes, it did. It's the first thing that I noticed. Vic Joseph, he's good at what he does. Not a fan of the style of commentating that he does. I think Wade Barrett is excellent. Love Wade Barrett. But Vic Joseph, as soon as I seen Vic Joseph on SmackDown, I knew Corey Graves was deeper in the doghouse than I really hoped he was in. So
And
yeah,
there's
that was bad.
nothing, JD, there's nothing, I'm telling you right now, that when you're backstage and you're somebody that they use, and that's somebody when you show up every single week, you know what your role is going to be, and then all of a sudden they're pissed off at you. I can tell you, JD, there's nothing worse. Because it's like you're a leper almost, that everybody doesn't look at you because they feel like if they sit by you to eat, all of a sudden, oh, you're supporting Corey Graves or whoever it is. It's a tough spot to be in. And the fact that Corey's been very, very silent on social media, I think speaks volumes. I sincerely hope, I really mean this, whether or not I have issues with him or not, I don't give a damn. I'm doing more stuff now. I don't want anybody to lose their job. We just saw a bunch of people lose their jobs. I went through it, JD, so many times and watching people get shocked and all of a sudden they're gone. I don't want that to happen to anybody. I don't want it to happen to Corey Graves, so we wish him the best of luck. So we're talking about AEW, and, in Australia, for people who don't know, they had to move their show from a big arena because they thought, and it feels like Tony Khan sometimes lives in this world where he thinks they're bigger than what they are. But in your mind, where are they right now, especially after that debacle down under?
I don't know. I don't know where they are right now. And the only thing that I'm hoping for is they get back to what they used to be. The ratings aren't showing for it. There's a lot of tribalism online in regards to what's going on. You can't call the product out. You can't criticize the product. Otherwise, you're labeled this, and that. It's a very difficult sea to navigate. But coming out of Australia, the company is very fortunate right now that they are actually producing a lot better television than they were the last 3 or 4 months. And they're going into one of their biggest shows of the year on March 9th in Los Angeles at Revolution. And the card right now is shaping up to be one of the best cards that they probably have ever put on, just with the sheer talent that's on the show and the matches that they're putting together. I don't know where they're going, Coach, and I don't really know what they could do to fix it. I've always said it. I've said it time and time again. It all starts with the leadership. Tony is too much involved in every single aspect. And I feel like as a fan, when I used to watch WWE, I said the same thing about Vince. Vince wore every single hat in the company and micromanaged everything. And I feel like Tony Khan is following those same footsteps, that same blueprint. And I don't think it's working out for the company at all.
I don't think so either. And a few months ago, and the reason I bring this up is this is a true story, and nobody's heard this before. And I know you've never heard this, JD, but you remember that picture that surfaced with Shane McMahon meeting with Tony Khan, and there was speculation that he would want to come into AEW. And then all of a sudden, all that talk just went away. Well, I have it on good authority that Shane McMahon asked for the world. He asked for equity in the company, and he asked to come in and run the entire show. And it was probably the first time that I said to myself, I actually agree with Tony Khan ghosting him, because Tony ghosted Shane. It wasn't the other way around. And the fact that Shane was at the Super Bowl with his dad, it's like he can't figure out what he wants to do. But if that is the case, I would have thought that the struggles they were in and all this kind of stuff, JD, that bringing in Shane would have been cool. But it also spoke to me of why Vince never let Shane run any more than what he did when they were in the WWE. But if Shane is asking for that, he'll never come back in any capacity in any wrestling company. And I know it pisses him off that his sister just got a TV show with ESPN. Do you think that Shane would help or could help if they brought him in an authoritative manner right now?
Yes, I do. Just based on the name value alone. I have said many times before, I honestly think Tony should step away from a lot of different positions that he's in right now and just be the guy that signs the paychecks. And that's basically it. Tony needs to hire a head booker. Tony needs to hire creative writers that write cohesive week-to-week television that keep the fans engaged, which right now they're not doing at all outside of maybe 1 or 2 different programs. It's Tony Storm with the Women's Championship. And right now they got MJF and Adam Page, who are embarking on a great storyline that, in my honest opinion, is the most important storyline the company's got going on right now. He needs to hire writers, and he needs to step away from basically everything that you see on television, but he won't, because I genuinely feel Tony likes that position. I feel like that's something he's wanted to do for basically his entire life. It gives him meaning. And I feel like the power that comes along with it, he loves that. And it's very difficult to give it up. And I feel like if they gave it to Shane, then the fan base is going to revolt and say, well, this is not the AEW that we signed up for. You're giving everything that we fell in love with to a McMahon, and that's going to go against the entire mission statement. So I don't know if the picture that we saw was basically a feeler type of picture for the fans to see, well, if this guy comes in, here are the pros and cons. There were more cons than pros. And Tony said, you know what, fuck it. I'm not even going to embark on this possibility, and just killed it. But I think he would absolutely bring interest to the product where right now there's none.
I do too, and I think to hit on where the fan base, sometimes we get caught up, JD, in this wrestling bubble, right? Where we think that everybody is paying attention to what we do. I think Tony Khan is that guy that he sees what are they getting, 300,000 to 500,000 a week watching their show. That's nothing in the whole scheme of things, and to piss off a smaller part, or the few people that tweet on Twitter like, oh, to get a bigger audience, because that would be front page news on TMZ. It'd be like Shane going against the Triple H. We know that Triple H and Shane do not get along. When I was there, it was ugly, JD. Shane came and went during my time in the WWE a couple of different times, and he said famously, there's one too many McMahons in the company, meaning Triple H, with his dad and with Stephanie. I think sometimes when you're a narcissistic owner like Vince was, and like Tony Khan clearly is, that the hardest thing to do is have somebody, because we've seen who he's put next to him, somebody that nobody knew, but somebody that pumps him up and says, yeah, Tony, you're the guy. And then you can't have talent also becoming vice presidents of the company. I was there when Triple H did it. You remember, JD, no talent ever set in on production meetings when we would go over Raw and SmackDown. Then all of a sudden, Triple H started walking in one day in suits and ties, just like Vince. And then what happened? He alienated himself from all the top guys, because you're going to put yourself over, right? Every single time you're going to put yourself over. So Tony needs to understand that. You can't be best friends with your talent, and you need a buffer. And man, Shane McMahon would be an amazing, amazing buffer. The other part of this, JD, is you mentioned MJF. I've said for years that if there was one guy that if he left AEW and went to WWE would be a gigantic star, it would be MJF. And I also don't understand, because this never would have happened in WWE. They're letting top stars miss time. Even if you're hurt, you can still show up time to time for star power on a show that's getting no ratings. But WWE's doing it with Roman Reigns, and AEW does it with guys where you don't even have your top guys, and you got Kenny Omega coming back, and he's talking about New Japan more than he's talking about AEW. Is that an issue in your mind, that even your top stars are not pushing your own product?
I feel like that is one of the reasons why AEW isn't further along than they are. I mean, look, just MJF is a great example of what the company has been doing wrong. MJF gets injured. He's out for 6 months. He comes back. And before injury, he was embarked on a very entertaining and lightning in a bottle like storyline with Adam Cole. Adam Cole unfortunately got hurt here in New York City at Arthur Ashe Stadium and destroyed his ankle. 2 different surgeries, and they were in the midst of a huge world title program. So when MJF was the world champion at the time and Adam Cole got hurt in the middle of their storyline, they had to basically stall and go in every which way to kind of make sense of it, and it never ended up making sense. MJF lost the championship to Samoa Joe on Long Island here in December, and then the storyline just went away, and Joe went on to be champion, eventually lost to Swerve Strickland. But when MJF came back, they resumed the storyline, but all this time had passed and nothing really made sense with MJF coming back and going after Adam Cole. It was all over with, and they flipped roles. MJF became the babyface and Adam Cole was the heel. But they left us sympathizing more with MJF than anything, and Adam Cole was basically saying, everything opposite of what we needed to hear. So when we got MJF back on television, Adam Cole, then they had him wrestle some random Japanese wrestlers at Forbidden Door, and it never went anywhere. And I'm thinking to myself, after the Will Ospreay match, they did nothing with their top guy. This guy is a main event WrestleMania caliber performer for WWE on any given fucking night, and they got this guy doing the middle, Jeff Jarrett on television. Like, Tony, what are you doing with your biggest guy? Those guys need to be on television. Swerve, Paige, Ospreay, MJF, and MJF was basically belittled to nothing. So I agree with you. It's like those types of guys need to be on television, and he wasn't.
Details. And I think when you have a show that's on 52 weeks a year, details are the things that fall through the cracks. And everything you just alluded to, 4 or 5 different things right there that they forget about, or they say, we do it here, and then 6 weeks later. Those are the things that wrestling fans buy into, the long-form storyline. And I watched your show the night that happened, and you were bullshit about it, and you should have been bullshit about it. So I don't know at this point, because we've seen other wrestling companies try to climb, but right now it feels like TNA is gaining ground over AEW. They have a strategic partnership, and we have Gabby. She's a part of our Last Word show on Monday nights. She's been on TNA before. Do you like these strategic partnerships that the WWE is doing, particularly with TNA? And now you're bringing their talent over, putting them in the Royal Rumble, and you're giving them that rub. And that is something that, I'll be honest with you, JD, if Vince was still running the show, he never would partner with anybody because it wouldn't be his idea. But I think it's a really good way to find some talent. How do you feel about it?
The partnership with TNA is something that many fans are going to enjoy because WWE, particularly, especially under Vince, never wanted anybody else in their sandbox. Tony Khan has created AEW as a playground for all these different companies to come and work with. They want to be universal for pro wrestling, where WWE only wanted one entity, and it was themselves, and they wanted to basically hoard every talent that was across the globe, and they wanted to own every company. I believe Triple H wanted to do those things while Vince was in charge, but Vince never allowed it. You saw Triple H and some of that influence on some of the NXT TakeOver shows. He had Jushin Thunder Liger on a couple of shows. He had, Japanese talent from abroad come on over, and they were given a spotlight here in WWE. They never really materialized in the Vince because Vince didn't really understand that type of character and that type of presence on television, where Triple H did. Do I find it to be strategic? Yes. The strategy is take as much from AEW as you can. If AEW is partnering with all these different promotions and WWE sees this, and WWE has an opportunity to one up AEW, no matter if it's TNA or anything, shorting them a show or booking a Saturday Night's Main Event on the same night that they have their big show in Texas, WWE is going to take every opportunity that they can to stick it to AEW. So do I think it's strategic? Yes. And it's something that AEW could have easily done, but they didn't. Their partnership with New Japan is right now, honestly, for lack of a better term, boring. Forbidden Door is a dead concept. They need to drastically change that concept. WWE and TNA's partnership, it's great for the short term, but my line of thinking from a fan's perspective is, what does TNA gain when this partnership is over? Is WWE going to own TNA? How much talent from TNA right now currently is working there? It's going to be in WWE. I mean, who's it benefiting now? It's obviously benefiting both. TNA is getting a lot out of this. But at the end of it, I feel like WWE is going to be the one that basically is running TNA.
I think you're absolutely right. And if they throw enough cash at it. But here's the problem with TKO that I'm seeing. Because I recently know, like, everybody working at WWE right now, they just passed the time where you get all these promotions and raises, and they gave them absolutely nobody. What I think is going to happen, JD, ultimately, is everybody that works in Stanford is going to get screwed over. And TKO is going to move everything to Vegas. They're going to build a whole new facility. We know they're moving the Performance Center to Vegas so that UFC and WWE are in one spot. And TKO has proven they're after every last mother-loving dollar. And we've seen the prices for tickets, and I think if they see a profit chance for TNA, they'll take it. But I want to segue in. You're watching the Coach and Bro Show. JD doing a great job stepping in for Vince Russo today. We're presented by DimerBox at DimerBox.com and also ShopMando.com. And if you're going to buy any of your WWE merchandise, do it through us. We always have the link in our bios. And today's featured superstar is Penta. But they're doing something, the WWE, because it makes dollars, JD, and it makes sense. And during my first run, we would go overseas twice a year to Europe. It would be April for 10 days. You leave on Tuesday. You do a full 9 or 10 days. You do one Raw overseas. They're now placating to John Cena's schedule, and he's going to be a part of the Elimination Chamber, but he's in Hamburg shooting a movie. Then he'll come back. I feel like, and I can't wait to get your take on this, that his press conference and the way that he put himself into the Elimination Chamber, that he's going to start a little bit of a heel run. So now the company's decided for the first time ever, they're going to do 3 Raws, TVs, overseas in Europe, and he's going to be over there shooting a movie. He'll be at every single one. And I don't know if strategically it hurts them at all to make him a heel. He's never had a heel run. He talked about it with Van Vliet a year or two ago. They thought about doing it. But what do you make of a month before the biggest event? This is their biggest money-making time. You're going to take all of your business overseas and then leave 3 weeks when you come back to really ramp up to WrestleMania. Do you like the move?
As a fan and a content creator, I don't like the move because normally those shows are taped. And when it's taped, we who live on social media get the spoilers and everything is ruined. Do they want, in the midst of their biggest time of the year, for results and shows to be spoiled online? I don't know. At the same time, they're on Netflix now, and there was a rumor that Netflix is going to take those overseas shows and make them live at 2 or 3 o'clock here Eastern time in the afternoon. So we will get it live, and then whoever wants to watch it at any time can watch it on tape delay, whatever. So I don't necessarily mind if that is the case, if they actually go and do that and Netflix does air them live, even when they're overseas. As far as John Cena, him being a heel, I don't know where John Cena's mindset is at. John Cena has always said that he has never wanted to work with anybody. It's always, he leaves it in the hands of everybody else. He just wants to do what's best for the company. He doesn't want to win said championship. He wants to put over young talent, whatever's best for the company. I think in this final year, if Cena wanted anything, this is the time to speak up because this is his final year, and we're never going to see him in this type of capacity ever again. So I don't know where his mindset is at. Does he want to go heel? I don't know. I don't know why you would want the chase for number 17 to result in a heel run in his final year. Would Triple H do it? I'm 50-50 on it because I do feel like it was a missed opportunity in the Vince era. I would have loved to see it, and I think John Cena would have been a fantastic heel. But as far as the heel run, no, I don't think it's going to happen. But I will say something needs to happen to bump the interest up. If Cena is the odds-on favorite to win the Elimination Chamber and the rumored match with Cody Rhodes does happen at WrestleMania for the title, something needs to happen because I do feel a John Cena, Cody Rhodes, just plain old vanilla main event for WrestleMania isn't really all that exciting, honestly.
And I think we've that's kind of been the take from a lot of fans that I've read on social media as well. Shout out to Michael Does It. Coach, can you make this a weekly show with JD? Hey, anything's possible. Anything's possible. I love the word vanilla. And that's kind of and the fact that he pointed out, and sometimes you don't got to point this out to everybody, but we know how talent is. And the fact that he put himself in the Elimination Chamber, it's all the work. We know that. But fans are like, wait a second, how is he allowed to do that? He didn't qualify. It's a show, and they could have put all 6 guys in. Now, 5 qualified. He didn't. I would be shocked, JD, if he does a heel turn. There was a time, him and I traveled together for about 6 months to a year, and it was so important to him to be liked by everybody. It was so important to him to take every last TV movie role that he was offered because he wanted to be just like The Rock. And now you see him Honda, movies. He's had a great career outside of the WWE. Do you know, JD, there's a time that he was 37% of every dollar that was sold at WWE was his merchandise? Those surprised. Are big checks every 3 months. I just got mine yesterday. $73. I still get JD $73 because my entrance music was on some CD back in 2006. But I like the farewell tour, and if he wins at 17, does it make any sense for him to turn heel? Because you want that moment. You want that night 2 moment where he raises the belt one more time and all the streamers coming down and the fireworks, and you got Cody Rhodes laying there looking up going, okay, if I'm going to lose to anybody, it's going to be John Cena. Then you have a great summer run, sell out arenas all over the place. Then you drop it at SummerSlam, and then you have the final 3 or 4 months to say goodbye. That's how I would do it. How would you do it?
See, this has been a topic of discussion on my end for several weeks. I'm glad Cena did not win the Royal Rumble. I didn't really understand the discourse that Jey Uso won the Royal Rumble because a lot of people said Triple H has played it safe for several months, and then he does the one thing that's not safe and gives the one guy that nobody thought was going to win the Royal Rumble the Royal Rumble win. So you can't win with these people. But I'm glad Cena or Punk did not win the Royal Rumble. Punk was my favorite because I'm a big Punk guy. But as far as Cena going into WrestleMania, you know, he hasn't won a singles match in 7 years. that to me is the first story that you tell. And I don't know who that match at WrestleMania would be against. I've been predicting Cena and Logan Paul. I think something happens with Logan Paul and John Cena in the Elimination Chamber, and I think that leads to a match at WrestleMania. Now, many people don't think that's a WrestleMania match. To each his own. Logan Paul is a absolutely unbelievable performer, and everything that he's done in that ring so far, no matter if it was Cody, if it was Rey Mysterio, Roman Reigns, he's had great matches. And John Cena, honestly, at this stage of the game, he's not working like John Cena 10, 15 years ago. I think it would do him good to work with somebody as young and as athletic as Logan Paul to bring out that different side of him that I know kind of still exists in there. But John Cena winning the championship at WrestleMania is not the way that I would do it. I would have him win that one big match after 7 years at WrestleMania, and then I would have him chase number 17 going into SummerSlam, because my thought process is, why take the biggest storyline, A, that John Cena has all year, B, it's one of the biggest storylines WWE has all year, and why would you blow it off in the first 4 months of a 12-month retirement run? I don't really understand that.
It's an interesting take. I don't mind that. I don't mind that because you involved Logan Paul in all of this. We saw Logan do the whole "you're old," heel promo on Rey Mysterio, and he got tons of heat last week. Here's the part that a lot of people hate. During my first run, I was there over 10 years, JD. Do you know how many Monday nights I missed in over 10 years with Vince at the helm?
I'm going to say less than 5.
1. And that was for my honeymoon after I got married. Mm-hmm. I missed 1. And so a lot of people hate the fact that they can't get past what used to be and that Logan Paul's a part-time performer. Now, I would love to see more of Logan Paul. I think he is fantastic. And we had Hurricane Helms here on one of our shows, and he said nobody works harder in the ring than Logan Paul. He also said he's maybe the most natural performer he's ever trained in his career. And people don't like the fact that he's arrogant. He's got a gigantic following. Most things that he does turns to gold, and they hate that. Plus, he doesn't show up on WWE television every single week. But man, can you imagine the promos, JD, if Logan Paul and John Cena have 4 or 5 weeks to build up to this thing at WrestleMania, and he's telling, by the way, John Cena, shave your head. I'm tired of the bald spot in the back. And I would tell him that if I saw him. But Logan Paul, not only could he give Cena, the rub, but Cena would absolutely give Logan Paul the rub. And I think it could really launch Logan Paul into the stratosphere if they had a really good match. Would you have Cena win that, or would you have Logan Paul win that?
I would have Logan Paul for the duration of WrestleMania season, just kind of egg on Cena. I'm better than you. I've been doing this for 2 years, and I've the talent wise from one to the other is just so much better. And Cena's an old aging veteran on his last leg. And, Logan Paul has said that he's top 5 in the entire company. And he's only been doing this for 2 years. And look at the body of work that he's already given us in 2 years. I would have that play out. Cena win at WrestleMania over Logan Paul. And I do think I agree with you that the promo work between them would be unbelievable. And Cena getting that win at WrestleMania is the one thing that I would tell first and then have him chase. I don't really understand why people would want to see him, A, as the WWE champion already, B, and then blow off the run for number 17 so quickly. If it's not Logan Paul, there's only 2 other people I want to see in the ring with John Cena at WrestleMania. CM Punk, number 1, obviously with their history. Best feud probably for Cena outside Adam Copeland in his entire career. And Umaga. I have to throw that in there as a little, a third.
Oh, that's my guy.
Third.
That's my guy.
And Drew McIntyre. I think Drew McIntyre and John Cena, just based off the character work of Drew McIntyre, would be a phenomenal WrestleMania match too.
I think Drew McIntyre, by the way, if he wins the Elimination Chamber, I think he is 8-1 at mybookie.ag. By the way, Cena's minus 250 to win the Elimination Chamber. If you're going to bet on John Cena, I would be very careful with that. Minus 250 is a big number for something that we're not sure. I can see Drew McIntyre and Cody being a pretty good story. I've officially changed my stance. You got me to change what I would do because I like your way so much better. Because right now they've got to lean into stars. I think WWE thinks they've got gigantic stars that sell tickets. They don't have as many as they think. And if you go to Logan Paul and you say, hey, what's the number it would take to have you show up every week? What do you think it would take them, JD, to go to Logan Paul and say, okay, 52 weeks a year, let's say you come 40 weeks. What's that number?
I don't know. If I'm WWE, I am never telling Logan Paul I want you at TV 52 weeks a year. The thing that makes him special is that we see him once every 3-4 weeks. And Logan Paul has already said that he feels like he has go away heat with the fans. No, he doesn't have go away heat. People just don't understand talent. So I would be the first to tell you if Logan Paul had go away heat. Logan Paul does not have go away heat at all. He's a great heel. He's gotten a lot better on the microphone from year one to where we see him now.
Yeah.
A lot of people just genuinely hate him because of the success that he has, and people love to hate on success. And Logan Paul's got a big platform. They don't really understand this day and age of social media. Who's this guy? Why does this guy deserve it? I mean, just look at the talent that the guy brings to you in the ring every single time he's out there. That's why people appreciate him. You can hate him for whatever other reason or something that he said, but when we talk about pro wrestling, Logan Paul is a special talent. Don't want to see him on TV every week. Otherwise, he will have go away heat. And I think maintaining that special uniqueness is very key to him.
So maybe 10 to 20 a year. Maybe 10. And this is exactly why I wanted you on today.
Yeah, the Lesnar schedule.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. The petty part of me, JD, is for people who don't know that when the show is going on, they set up a TV backstage and chairs, and the talent that's either not working, done working, whatever, they'll sit around and watch. Can you imagine how pissed off some talent is that's sitting there, that's full-time? They don't have the house show schedule that they used to have, but still, every wrestling talent, and it doesn't matter the company. Am I right, JD? There's always going to be those talent. Oh, you're not using me. I haven't pitched a storyline. You haven't done this. And you're like, what have you done? And then when a guy like Logan Paul gets used in the Royal Rumble, main events, Rey Mysterio, that pisses them off even more. And I love those guys because it's usually those guys that do nothing but sit around all day and wait for them to be given a storyline. And that's not how you can work. You've got to be progressive and aggressive. And a guy that is like that, look at that professional segue. You're watching the Coach and Bro Show. JD in for Vince Russo today. A man who, for the, 6 months, JD was complaining, AEW, Tony Khan standing in my way, won't give me my release. Then all of a sudden, the man shows up on NXT. And I'm talking about Ricky Starks, or what's his new name he's going by? Ricky
Saints.
Ricky Saints. He kind of, to me, is, I know he thinks he's a great promo giver, but I would love to get my hands on him and coach him just a little bit on how to talk on the mic, because he uses low-hanging fruit a lot and one-liners a lot, and that's not how you deliver a great promo in wrestling. But I do think he has a star power and a star look. Are you surprised that when the WWE signed him, that they started him in NXT and did not think that he was big enough to debut on Raw or SmackDown?
Well, to go back to what you said, the low-hanging fruit comment, I kind of agree on that, but I do think that's also a product of where he came from, and that's eventually going to wash away being in WWE, where it's a little bit more streamlined and organized. But as far as him starting in NXT, I like the move. I feel like if you put him on the main roster, and I think everybody who watched Ricky Starks since the day he debuted on AEW television to where we see him today, he's a main roster guy. So is Jordan Grace, who just made her return at Vengeance Day this past weekend for NXT. They're both main roster talents, but one and the same. They're not going to be factored into WrestleMania plans, and I would rather them get their feet wet before anything happens on the main roster during WrestleMania season on NXT. Jordan Grace right now is going to be in a major program with two of the biggest champions that WWE has coming out of the women's division on NXT. And Ricky Starks, you know, he is someone that could lead that brand, run that brand as NXT champion. I think I give him a nice year as the man down there, and I have him do his thing. And with the rumor of WrestleMania in New Orleans next year, I would call him up around Royal Rumble time next year after he has kind of solidified himself in the NXT system. But I have no problem with him working NXT. I think that's a great move for him.
What do you think changed and why he was given his outright release when Tony could have continued to be petty? And I don't know how long, according to Ricky, he still had another, 8 months or a year. Why do you think they said, hey, listen, you can go?
You know, that's something that I've sat with here while doing my shows and taking notes on everything during the week. I don't know. It felt like Tony was just going to stay petty and just keep him on ice until his contract ran out. He woke up one day and said, you know what? I don't want Miro, Rusev. I don't want Malachi. I don't want Ricky Starks. Goodbye. They're all gone. Malachi got his contract has run out, so he's free and clear. And then the other two just got outright releases. Nobody knows. I don't know why he took so long, because the report was Ricky was iced from April last year. They rolled over an option on his contract without really doing much of anything with him. He didn't want the option, and then they rolled it over anyway, and then they kept him home with no creative. So then all of a sudden, when Ricky's just now starting to get traction, he's working some indie dates, now they let him go. And I said, what's the deal? Like, you iced him so that his star power would diminish because you all know where he's going to end up. But it actually worked in reverse, Coach, because I feel like Tony keeping him on ice only kind of made his star brighter. And then when he showed up on WWE, look at the social media views. I mean, he did over 12 million views between YouTube and WWE social media for Ricky fucking Starks. I mean, who thought that? So Tony's looking at that and saying, what the fuck? Well, I can't win over here. Just everybody that doesn't want to be there, let them go. Does it set a bad precedent? Sure. But I don't want nobody working for me that doesn't want to be here and help the company. So we let Ricky Starks go. But why did he let him go, knowing that he was going to go right to WWE? I couldn't tell you. The name change, I feel like it works for him. We could touch upon that. But I feel like as far as him coming on over, I think he's won. And Tony thinks he got one over on Ricky Starks, but no, Ricky Starks won in the end.
No doubt about it. I think that what Tony needs to understand, and this is where his lack of being a wrestling fan and actually being in the business are two completely different things. And we used to say all the time that any attention is good attention if it's going in the right direction attention. And what Ricky Starks did with the whole GCW thing, where you pull them off and then you're saying, oh, the Hammerstein, all of that was negative attention for Tony Khan, and it made Ricky Starks, oh, wait, you think he's so important that you're going to pull him off and be this, and made him a bigger star. You just hit the nail on the head. And then he comes in. And also, it also proves when you have a social media machine behind you, I don't care how big of a star that you are, you need the machine behind you. Tony and his group are so focused on just trying to get along that they forget that you got to promote out there. Give me some shorts. Give me some reels. Use your YouTube page. Use your X. Give me 30-second bites. Make these guys stars. And that's what the WWE is best at. They have a lot of things that I don't like after my 13 years in that company, but there's a lot of things they do great. And launching Ricky Saints is something I think they did great. And if you can make him the star when, and I think you're right, because this entire, next 7-8 months is going to be all about John Cena and WrestleMania.
Yeah.
So he could get lost in that shuffle.
Yeah.
So why not? And they've also started traveling NXT a little bit more than they did before. Am I right?
Yeah, they NXT now is obviously working out of the Performance Center, but 2 or 3 times I would say not a month, maybe 2 times a month, they'll go to like these remote cities, these smaller venues, these I don't know what they're called. They're beautiful little setups, 3,000-4,000 people, and they're taking them out on the road. But to go back to the Ricky Starks thing, the name Ricky Saints, just to add on top of what you said about AEW not making stars and not taking the proper protocol to make stars. Look what WWE did, Coach. They didn't announce this guy by name for 7 days. They had him show up last Tuesday night. Everybody knew who he was. Oh, shit, it's Ricky Starks on NXT. Not one commentator mentioned his name. The fans chanted his name. Nowhere on social media, YouTube, did they say, oh, this is Ricky Starks showing up on NXT. It was almost like Scott Hall showing up on WCW when he defected to WCW from WWE. And everybody knew who he was, but he didn't say a name. Nobody knew who he was going to be called in WCW. So they did the same thing with Ricky Starks. And for 7 days, they played it along. And then when he signed the contract on this past Tuesday, they still didn't say his name. Ava, the GM, didn't say his name. None of the people that he interacted with promo-wise in the ring said his name until the camera panned in on the contract and it said not Ricky Starks, but Ricky Saints. Normally the old JD would have shit on that. I fucking love that because it got people talking, because the fact that they didn't say this guy's name, what's his name? Are they going to change his name? I can't believe it. I got to watch NXT to see if they give Ricky Starks his real name. It's fucking beautiful. It was so brilliant, so simple.
I say it all the time. There are hashtag levels to this game, and there are certain times that you see the levels that certain people are at, regardless of company that you are in. So launching a character, launching a person, especially when they were a big name somewhere else, is a very important thing. And I think you hit the nail on the head. They did a really, really, really great job. By the way, shout out to everybody watching live right now. JD, we have a really big live number right now. So thank you to everybody. I know your audience has come over. We just have a brand new premium member. Thank you to Scott. We've got different tiers here at BTT, 3 different tiers. So you guys are going to get so much content, whether you're a sports bettor, a sports fan, a wrestling fan, whatever. We got you covered right here at BTT. So thank you to all of you for tuning in. My God, it's a Thursday in the middle of the afternoon, and you found me and JD. All right, before we get the hell out of here, and JD, by the way, I've had a blast working with you. Hopefully you have done the same. This has been awesome. So thank you.
This is great, and thank you to all of the Off the Script family coming over here and supporting Coach. And
Yes.
one of the things I wanted to do this year, I made a New Year's resolution, was work with more people, guys like Coach and his team, because I've been a loner. I've been doing this content thing for way too long by myself, and I think this year we're about to break out. I think that's the right thing to do.
100%. We're going to do this. I believe in collabs. I believe in supporting each other. The one thing that drives me nuts is when somebody says, oh, no, they do the same thing that we do. We can't support them. I've been doing this way too long, JD, to be like that. I want everybody to win, everybody to succeed. It doesn't have to be negative. And you come here, you get smarter. You become more educated. And that's what I love about what we do and what you do, is that we really know, because we've been around the business for a long time. We're in the business, and it's separate from being a fan. So again, thank you. This is awesome. Hopefully we can do this a lot. One more thing, JD, and we're going to get out of here on this. And this is the read the room moment that TKO can't seem to get. They bring the Hulkster out on January 6th. Debut Netflix. He gets booed out of the building. He then goes on one of the shows and he goes, you know what? I kind of expected that a little bit. My political, I was there with Trump, and he wouldn't own the fact that he's just a bad guy and he's a jerk. And so then he's there to promote his beer. That felt awful too. And I can't believe that Triple H and TKO allowed him to do shameless plugs for that as well. But now we've arrived at this. And this, when my producer man sent this over to me, I said, are you shitting me right now? Let me read this, JD, for you. At WrestleMania, where a front row ticket right now is $15,000. All you families out there, you affording that? Well, how about you afford this? The Real American Suite Package at WWE WrestleMania 41, including a meeting with the one and only Hulk Hogan. Available for a very small, low price of $9,500. $9,500. And here's what you get. Enjoy both nights of WrestleMania from the comfort of a reserved seat in a premium luxury seat at Allegiant Stadium. Category, traditional suite row. All-inclusive, JD. Food and beverages. No need to wait in line. For $9,000, you can get your own food and beverages. Then, priority pass to the WWE World and Superstore access. Dedicated entrance. You get to go in there, but it doesn't stop there. Professional on-location, on-site support staff. It doesn't stop there. You also get to go to Top Golf at MGM Hotel and play with The Miz. All of that, JD, for $9,500. And what's crazy is it will probably sell. Your take.
Yeah, Top Golf with The Miz doesn't sound bad, you know?
No, that sounds fun.
I think Top Golf is great. Listen, Coach, all I'll say is this, two things. One, I did a live taste test with Hulk's Real American Beer on my Tuesday show with my co-host, and it was not good at all. If you guys are beer connoisseurs, there are a lot better options. I'll say that. And secondly, you know, I'm the way that I think, Coach, I don't know. I love my music. I wouldn't even pay $10,000 to sit next to my favorite musician. So why would I sit next to Hulk Hogan? I mean, I can't imagine spending that amount of money to sit next to someone or be in someone's suite to watch WrestleMania. I want the best seat in the house. If I'm paying for anything, I'm paying for front row.
100%. And by the way, I've been very critical. TKO, when you have your CCO or CMO, whatever it is, go on CNBC and go, and I don't know how you feel about this, but as a person who did house shows for 3 years nonstop, we used to do Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday for Raw, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday for SmackDown. For Vince McMahon, that was the core of the business. That was how you got people to watch television. And now it's not even close to priority. they're going from 300 events down to 200 events this year. And they said clearly, JD, clearly, the fact that we sell out our events so quickly tells us that we have not priced them correctly and we need to raise our prices. No, it doesn't. It tells you that you're a hot ticket at the price that you are at. And I fear that over the course of the next year or two, as TKO continues to buy other things and go into more debt and uses the WWE to pay that off, that you're going to see less and less people. And all those Michael Coles, we're sold out in Charlotte, North Carolina, will get further and further away because these families just won't be able to afford it. And that has been at the core of the business since 1980.
Now, how ridiculous is it, Coach, that they go on pay-per-view every time they're on pay-per-view? They announce a new record every single month. They broke their own record just that was set a month ago. And Triple H or someone's in the ring announcer, we've set the all-time live gate record. It's like, all right, yeah, man, thank you to you idiots for spending 15 times more money than you did last month. It's like, I don't know, man. It's a little bizarre to me, but good on them. You know, listen, we got content going out. Everybody wins. I hope they remain hot because it's great for everybody.
No doubt about it. All right, we're going to end it right there. Thank you guys very much. If you didn't catch the whole show live, you can catch us on demand at our BTT Studios YouTube page. While you're there, check out our other content. JD, once again, brother, anytime you need me, let me know, and I can't wait to have you back here. You were awesome, and this was awesome for me, so thank you.
Thank you, Coach. Thank you for thinking about me to fill in for the one and only Mr. Russo, and I would love to do this again, no doubt about it.
Fantastic. Producer man, I need my one shot. It's time for you to go out into the world. Thank you to everybody. This was a gigantic live audience, and I'm not stupid. I know why. JD brought his audience. We brought ours. That's what you do today in this business. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Thank you for all the super stickers. Scott, thank you for becoming a premium member. We're just getting started. We're just getting started. So I encourage you to follow and support all of us because, damn it, we love doing this. So for JD, for producer man, for our entire staff, I'm the coach. We'll see you Monday right back here on the one and only Coach and Bro Show.